and all that other stuff. So I believe we are now live. Thank you all for joining us today. We got a new whole setup here, so we're trying. We're going to get some new avatars for everyone, but for now we're going to use their profile pictures. But I'd like to welcome everyone. How you all doing?
Decent.
Today with us. Today with us we have, I guess if we go through the table, Jessica on the far
Hello.
left. We got Vinny.
Thank you for having me.
We have Sean. Sorry.
Bro, I can't believe you open the doors in the wintertime. Letting the breeze in.
We also will have Albert here in a moment when he's a little busy, but he'll be here in a moment. And then, of course, myself, Tenkun. It's nice to see you all this brand new year. I mean, we had the earlier hangout, but this whole new season is fresh and fun for us all. Oh, here's Albert. How you doing, Albert?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Oh, sorry, I'm late. Where
That,
are we?
that's
You're
all right.
right on time.
Yeah, you're right on time. We're about to get started. Give me one moment. Let me add your picture in here so that you're sitting at the table with us. There we go. So, the first show we're going to talk about, let me pull up my list, sorry, is this show. I have no idea that what it's about or anything. I didn't even know it was a thing going on right now. Called, oh, come on, get away. Chikyu Gai Shonen Shoujo?
Yeah, Chikugai Shonen Shoujo is otherwise known as the Orbital Children on Netflix. This is the long-awaited new production from Mitsuo Iso, the creator of Den Coil, and otherwise like one of the most important Japanese animators, like process innovator type people in the industry. So it's like all the Sakuga heads are like, we were anticipating this thing for like a decade. We're anticipating Mitsuo Iso doing literally anything for like a decade. And like finally there's a new thing. Here it is. So in this production he partnered up with Toshiyuki Inoue, who is also like, he's one of the best Japanese animators in the industry. So you have these like two movie quality people making this Netflix thing. It's kind of hard to describe structurally because it's supposed to be in two parts. So this month they dropped part 1, which comes in 6 episodes, but if you just watch it all at once, it plays like a movie. It has a beginning and a middle and an end. And by the time it ended, I'm like, are they gonna make more of this? Like, is there supposed to be more of this coming out? Because it doesn't logically extend into a sequel. At least that's how I felt. Like when the credits roll, it really does feel like, okay, that's the end of the story right there. So I guess next month we're going to get something of a sequel to this thing in maybe another 6 episode package. But anyway, this anime is a sci-fi ass sci-fi. It is trying to be 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it starts out with humans in space, and then in the middle it becomes about like artificial intelligence, humans interacting with AI, and then in the end it gets really trippy, and it's about like mankind being on the threshold of taking the next step into the unknown. And it kind of pulls it off. 2001: A Space Odyssey is not my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie because I find it kind of unwieldy and biting off more than it can chew. But what it is hard to make a movie about things that grandiose, but this movie also tries to do that, and it's very unwieldy toward the end because there's a whole lot of talking. The first half is very entertaining. It is a gravity style, space disaster. They're on a space station. Kids are on a space station. They won some sort of grand prize from the kind of bootleg Google of that world. So they're all wearing spacesuits that say frugal or whatever that the the fake Google name is. And then disaster strikes, and there's some sort of nuclear attack in space. The electromagnetic pulse of the nuclear explosion knocks out all the power systems on the space station. They have to bring things back, bring systems back one at a time. Meanwhile, there's comet fragments that are coming at the station that also ruin stuff. And so it's about different groups of children navigating from place to place in this space station, trying to outrace the depletion of oxygen and the depletion of heat in each of these sections. They're all trying to race to the next section before the current one is toast. And so that stuff is really exciting, and it shows that they did a lot of research into it. There's lots of fun concepts, like the station is rotating, but it has thrusters that control the rotation, and the rotation is all about the artificial gravity. So there are parts where they go down weird access tunnels and the gravity starts spinning around. And there are lots of fun action scenes built around that. The second half of the story of this, episodes 1 through 6, it introduces this super intelligent artificial intelligence. And that's where it starts playing around with technological singularity type concepts about what would happen if mankind made an AI that was smarter than mankind. What would that be like? How would you talk to it? How should you handle it? And there are various factions. There's a villain. There's the United Nations that has some sort of policy against developing super intelligent AI. There's a villain that wants to unlock the potential of the AI because this villain sees the AI as mankind has made a god, an omnipotent being, and we must worship it like a god. And then the children are trying to find the middle path, and they're trying to make first contact with it, sort of Star Trek: The Next Generation style. And that's the part where it gets a little too heady, and it doesn't contrast well with the first half, which is about fun kinetic action, problem solving. There's a disaster and we have to solve these various problems as we come across them. The second half gets very heady and spacey and kind of trippy. Some of the kids have implants, and then they can dive, sort of Ghost in the Shell style into the cyber world and talk to the AI and stuff. And then it gets really 2001. But what I really like about this is that it is a sci-fi in space that entertains new ideas. And that's the most exciting thing about it, is that it's not waxing space race nostalgia. The space station has a lot of interesting new tech in it. A lot of the rooms are kind of a lot of the sections of the space station are kind of inflatable fabric, pressurized. It's not just metal bulkheads and stuff like that. Just all those space race and 1960s and 1980s sci-fi ideas and aesthetics go out the window, and they try to imagine new aesthetics of space stations made out of fabric and 3D printed materials, and lots and lots of augmented reality. This is the guy that made Den no Coil, so the kids all have integrated augmented reality mobile devices on their person, and they're doing these kind of AR wizard battles, kind of like in Den no Coil. That happens. And so I like it as a sci-fi that's actually forward looking, because I feel like sci-fi has not been able to do this for a long time because it's just too stuck in the past. this thing feels like, okay, let's actually try to imagine a little bit of the future, what some aspects of it might be like, based on our actual current understanding of technology, and not our understanding of it circa 1980s. So as like as a big anime production, I recommend it. As like a science fiction that you can take kind of seriously, I also recommend it. It's cool, and I'm looking forward to the next part next month or whenever they put it out.
Yeah, that was my question. Do you know when the next part is dropping?
Not really. I would have to look it up on Wikipedia. Uh,
Hmm.
the Orbital Children. February 11th. Oh, that's really soon. So yeah, not
Okay.
even a month, or like a couple of weeks from now, it's
Yeah.
going to be out.
Yeah, I just didn't have time to go watch it on Netflix. I believe Den no Coil is also now on Netflix.
Hmm.
So,
Good timing.
yeah, I actually have not watched it because it was very hard to find. So I think I guess we'll go check it out.
This anime creator, Mitsuo Iso, as a director, hasn't done that much. One of the interesting things that he's done in his career is like episode, was it 11 or like 13 of Evangelion? He wrote one episode of Evangelion, and it was the one about like the virus angel that tries to take over Nerve. And if you watch this, you're going to see a lot of
Um,
parallels, because there's like a super intelligent nano machine AI that tries to take over the space station. It kind of plays out in a similar way aesthetically.
okay.
So are these like? Is this an actual series or is it like an OVA type of thing?
Uh, well, it's not. It's a Netflix thing, right? So I guess
Right.
if in your anime database you would call it an ONA, but I suppose it's going to be a 12 episode series. Each episode is something like 25 minutes, maybe more. I don't know.
I see.
But yeah, it's in the ballpark of like a 12 episode anime. But it has the production values of not quite a full blown feature film, but kind of like an OVA.
I'm gonna have to check it out. It'd be interesting to hear or see.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's cool. Like it's not my favorite thing in the world, but as I'm pretty sure like it's the most interesting anime. New anime like this season is this thing.
All right.
Okay.
Well, according to the list that we got here, not a lot of people are watching stuff, so I bet there's plenty of time to fit this into their watch list.
Yeah, I haven't looked at anything else this season. Just laid on me.
It's kind of a weak season.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some surprises, but I'm just gonna probably just do this alphabetically, like we did last time. Makes it easier to find titles. Um, so with that said, we just jumped into this because we were waiting, and now that we got everything set up, we can go to this title here, which surprised me quite a bit because I didn't know what it was, and when I started watching it, um, I really enjoyed it, which is called Akebi-chan no Serufuku, or Akebi Sailor Uniform. And this is on, I believe, Funimation and Crunchyroll. And I still really have no idea where it's supposed to go, but every episode has been pretty enjoyable and also carries a lot of traits that I believe to be close to Yuri. But it hasn't gotten that far. Um I mean, it has a lot of the tropes, like, all girls school, the girls getting really close to each other and stuff. But um, I believe one thing that I constantly forget, I believe they're all still like in middle school, right? They're not even in high school.
Yeah,
So,
middle school.
yeah. So that was an interesting thing that I kind of forget every once in a while. But overall, it has some moments where just these scenes are just beautiful, and then it'll go back to a more simplified version for the animation. But it's just been really fun, and even if it does have some kind of animation problems in the future or anything, I don't think that would drive me away from the show, because it's just been that enjoyable watching Akemi and her friends and how she interacts with everyone and just her antics. And it's kind of almost, I kind of almost want to say it is a slight kind of like a healing anime as well, because I feel myself being, you know, uplifted every time I watch this. Like, we're always so happy with my friends after watching this. We're like, man, that was so good. That was just fun. What about you, Albert and Vinny?
Yeah, so I've watched, I think the first two episodes. Animation is, there are scenes where it's amazingly good. There are also some scenes which is a little fetishized, but that's anime. So um, yeah, it's definitely a slice of life. And I read a couple of the volumes of the manga that's based on. It is essentially that and moving format and beautiful moving format. So yeah, it's one of the I think Cloverworks has three series this season, maybe two, but definitely two. Clove Studio Cloverworks is doing it, and they put some of their best foot forward. Definitely a high quality production, and as far as I know, well received all around.
How much Sailor Fuku is in this thing? Like this kind of show where they introduce a new sailor or like a new school uniform every episode and go on long tangents
So,
about school uniforms.
uh, no, so in
Damn it.
episode one, you find out that the school that she wanted to go to, and actually wore the school uniform. It's the school that her mother went to. Has since her mother has graduated, has switched over to blazers. So she's the only one wearing a sailor uniform. Yeah, how that happens? It's anime. It's manga. They apparently never mentioned it to her that now the students, are wearing sailor uniforms now. So, but they give her the option to keep wearing the sailor uniform that her mother made for her, and that's what she decides to do. So, her mother is a seamstress, and I guess it's very nostalgic because she's set, in the countryside, where she was the only student in her school of her grade, um, and people have remarked that, yeah, my mother made my first sailor uniform for me. People watching this, right? So that was an actual thing that people used to do. You don't just go out and buy, the uniform. You actually made it. So
Hmm.
there's a certain nostalgic, romanticized view of the entire thing, but I mean that's what anime does, right? So I don't know. Yeah, I'm watching it. Like I said, I think 4 episodes are out now. I'm a little behind. I was trying to catch up on some other older stuff, but uh, It's perfectly beautiful looking anime and slice of life. Vinny, what about you?
Uh, yeah, I'll just add a few things. First of all, her eye shape bothers me a lot. I don't know why. That almond shaped eye, that just gives me the spook. But moving past that, what kind of makes me wonder is that looks like she graduated from elementary school all by herself in an entire tiny school in the middle of the boonies. So it's like, think of it as what's the other series with a similar kind of settings? Non Non Biori, except
Non-Biori.
worse, because she seemingly was the only student in the entire elementary school, and yet she's almost a stone throw away from this middle school that's prestigious and they has a decent enough population, but you can kind of see that it's kind of a bit of a rundown, traditional state, but I don't know however you want to put it. So it kind of begs the question, if that school is famous enough to attract the student from elsewhere out of town, why is the whole town is seemingly ghost town? That's a little bit of an iffiness for me, but otherwise, yeah, it's very good looking series. It's full on whole nostalgia kind of a themes going on. Even the opening credit, the way the credits are rolling in vertical stripes, kind of evokes that whole yesterday feelings to it. You know how the words are arranged most of the time, and the ending credits, those uh, scenes, it looks almost as if those are drawn in the form of an olden school shoujo manga kind of style. And for some reason, everybody's wearing sailor uniforms. So I'm thinking maybe that was kind of a gesture from her mother's generation. But
Hmm. Okay.
otherwise, I'm enjoying it. I'm probably gonna keep on watching it. I like those kind of stuff anyway, so it's all good for me.
Yes, very very fun show. I actually would recommend it to quite a few people because it's actually really enjoyable. I recommend it to Jessica.
We'll check it out then. Is it Crunchyroll? This one?
It's, I think it's on both
Yeah.
Crunchyroll
Okay.
and Funimation.
All right, Funimation then.
All right. Next up, we'll do this one, which I'll get through real fast because it's not really anything big. Afurete. Ari Fureta. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's the second season. It
Uh-huh.
continues where the first left off. Just with because they got the new companion, and you follow, what's his face,
Hajime.
Hajime. Yeah,
How do I know that better than you? You're the light novel fan.
It's
yeah.
damn shame.
Sorry. Yeah, so you follow Hajime along with his group of his companions, I guess you could say, and
His daughter and her.
as they go forward, and other than that, I mean, it's if you've seen the first season
Oh my god.
and you're expecting the same worst stuff, then I'm happy to say that it actually gets better because the CG monsters are kind of gone. It's more hand drawn monsters now that I've seen at least. So,
I don't know. They're still CG. I think they're
well,
just
in
better.
some parts,
Because
some parts.
season one was so awful. I know I roasted it because it was so awful. And it's one of those shows people watch because it was so bad. It was watchable. Um, and then I checked out the first episode of season two, and yeah, the it's actually a lot better. I know they changed studios. This was the show that had the entire studio change at the last minute, like with a 1 year production schedule to get it back up, and everything about it was a cluster. But I guess somehow I got a second season, and it's doing okay from what I hear. don't really have an interest. I think someone else will cover it at the end of the season, or someone, on AniTuber will be commenting on the entire series, so I'll just watch that for highlights.
Yeah. But there are some weird things that I'm wondering, like, why they decided to add it now. Like, he mentions the cross bits that he's creating, and
Hmm.
even I think you see them in the opening credits or something like that. I remember seeing them somewhere. But from when I was reading the web novel, I think it was a web novel. I can't remember if it was a light novel. He had those when he went into the dungeon to save everyone, the friends. So I'm like, now he's just great. Okay, this is weird. So I think to me, certain things have changed a little bit from the light novel. So there's definitely going to be maybe something going on to pick corrections or let us know. But I've already seen some things. I think didn't you share like Hajime's power level or something like that one time? This video someone made.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I think so. The one I posted
yeah.
in Discord.
So
Yeah.
I bet there's going to be quite a bit more going on about that. I got to check and see which one I did read, but of course, it's an isekai, so I gotta watch it. I mean, it's at least it's better than last time. Oh, yeah. So I have no problems with continue on. But let's go ahead and move on to the next title, which looks like we got. Let me move this to the side so I can see what. Jessica, do you want to talk about Barao no Soretsu or not?
I do. So this is an anime based on the manga Requiem for the Rose King, which in turn is based on the Shakespeare plays Henry V and Richard III. And I love me some Richard III, let me tell you. So the manga is excellent. I cannot recommend it enough. And I was really looking forward to watching the anime. But it was one of the COVID casualties. I believe it was supposed to start in January of 2021, but it got pushed back because of delays. And, don't quote me on that. But what we got is a travesty. This thing is barely animated. It is just still drawings. The 3D CG models don't even move. They're just there. And so the battles are pictures of a bunch of 3D models facing off against other 3D models that are static. They get through the entire first volume of the manga in one episode, and I am really curious if someone who has not read the manga has a clue of what is going on. Because it was damn near incomprehensible to me, and like I said, I've read the manga. So I am very upset because this was the anime I was looking forward to the most this season. I
Are you
don't
going
really
to
know.
continue watching it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know because in Shakespeare's play, Richard was said to have been deformed because in the era in which Shakespeare lived, your spiritual morality was directly tied to your physical appearance. So if you had anything that was quote unquote wrong with you or a disability, it was because you lost God's favor and it meant you were evil. And so, depending on the director of the play, they will sometimes have the person playing Richard pretend to have a lame arm or walk with a cane. And we know in reality, Richard had scoliosis. Well, in the manga, Richard is what we would call intersex. He has both male and female parts. And so the manga is an exploration of gender, and it's really, really fascinating. But the anime so much shat the bed with its launch that I don't think even that main theme came across well. So I don't know. I might watch another episode, but if it's just too painful, I'll drop it.
Okay. So it sounds like we should go read the manga.
You should. I highly, highly recommend the manga if you have any interest at all in the plays.
Sounds like something for
Yeah.
me to watch just for fun.
Let me know if you can understand what's happening. Okay, so sorry, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. But you know how in anime that have a very large cast of characters, sometimes they'll have the character's name, right? Will pop up on the screen when the character shows up. It'll have their name and maybe what their job title and stuff is. Well, Requiem of the Rose King does that. I don't really like that, but they don't do it for everybody. And one of the characters who is pivotal to the plot in the very same episode, episode 1, gets no introduction, but then shows up and starts doing and saying things. So first time viewers are going to have no idea who this character is or even what side he's on. It's just incompetence at all levels. And I feel really bad for the animators because things were probably not great for them. But okay, I'm done. Rant over.
All right. Next up, let's see here. I don't really want to talk about Q. Q's not really interesting. A lot of cast members. It's based off of a phone game, I believe, and it's like an idol group or something like that. No, not idol group. An agency that's just starting
Voice
new
acting.
for voice acting, right? So, it wasn't really that interesting. So I'm not really going to spend more time than what I just said right there. Uh, Dolls Frontline. Any of you want to make any mention on this, or should we skip that one?
Just a brief mention. So there's some confusion about why it's called Dolls Frontline and not Girls Frontline, and it's called Girls Frontline in certain markets. So it's based on a Chinese gacha game, right? And so when they launched it, it's Girls Frontline. The word that you use, shoujo, is girl. When it got ported to Japan and became, it got launched in Japan, they decided to use ateji, which means you use a different word but keep the same kanji. Okay, and so because the units, the girls in it are actually called dolls, right? Because they're androids. Um, they decided to call it Dolls Frontline. So officially, the gacha game is Girls Frontline. The anime, because it came out of Japan, will be Dolls Frontline. That's it, and it's not very good. It's not very good.
Yeah, I only saw the first episode because I remember playing the game, so I was like, oh, this should be interesting to see how they, you know, decide to animate it. And then when I watched, I was like, what? And this, ugh. Okay, never mind. Not worth it. So, um, next up, which is another title probably don't have to mention too much about, which is the what's it called again? Gen Jitsu. Oh, I don't have the title card. But the
What? It's Genjitsu Shugeyusha no Okoku Saikenki Part 2.
yeah,
Or
so
How
how
Realist Heroes Save the Kingdom Part 2, right?
yeah, so it continues off from the first season, so you obviously have to watch the first season, and it's just more of what we've already seen before, or not more continuation. Nothing big has happened. Actually, the last episode that just played was just a lot of talking and setting up for what's going to go on in the future. Um, so the first part of it um, hasn't been too exciting, I would say, because it's just been the aftermath of the war that ended on the first season. So uh, you'll probably have to wait until the second arc until we can actually until some more exciting stuff start happening, I would think. But other than that, not much else to say about this show. Um, let's go to this next title here, though, which actually I thought was kind of fun. I want to watch more of this. I only saw the first episode, but Vinny, tell me about it.
Ah, okay. Hakuzume, also known as a police in a pod. So it's about two female cops working in a substation in the small city. One is fresh out of academy, and the other one is something of a grizzly veteran who got kicked out of a prior assignment due to keep constantly butting heads with her superiors and coworkers. So she got demoted into this police stations, having to mentor this brand new police woman. And the reason why she chose the profession is that it was shown in the first episode where her father got into, well, got pulled over by a policeman for speeding and ended up getting ticket. And he kind of blubbers to the daughter saying that if you ever grow up, then you should get a job that's a stable income. Don't be like me. So she's determined to get a job in a civil servant and took all kind of exam, and she didn't pass any of them except being a policeman. So that's where she ended up in. So she does not have your prototypical callings of I was born to be a policeman. None of that. She just comes to work to get paid and hope and pray that nothing ever goes wrong because she really cannot handle any of those situations. Um, it's interesting in a way that it doesn't really try to sugarcoat. It doesn't have any of those glorious many aspect of how policemen are portrayed in a media. It's more like we're just like us, your prototypical salary man. We got our ups and downs, and we really cannot stand a lot of those people that we have to deal with because everybody calls us, tax thief and what have you. So it's daily trivial issues stemming from uh, making arrests over petty theft to the uh, getting accidentally involved into underage prostitution cases and speed traps and all kind of stuff. It's it's a fun to watch. It's interesting in a way that it's more realistic representations of what the police do over there in Japan, and then there's really no superpowers or any kind of thing going on. It's very much everyday people doing everyday stuff. Once again, just like Kebi, I have a problem with how their eyes are drawn, but then it's just the same issue with the manga. The way manga is drawn reminds me very much of how unrefined some of the manga series are at the beginning before they get refined into more pleasing pattern. And this one just looks kind of jarring. Um, and the music, I can't say I care so much about the opening or the ending music. It just doesn't fit well to me.
Hmm. So there's no crazy racing scenes or chase scenes with a moto compo or anything like that.
No, I mean they run in human speed, and she gets outmatched by the one who's trying to running away from her, because based on physicality, she's not gonna be able to outrun somebody who's 6'2" and strikingly long stride. None of that. So yeah, it doesn't have any of that weird cop show moment. It's just a pretty much a straight up nitty gritty policeman doing the everyday policeman thing, which makes it more interesting in my end.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
purely this day in the life kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, she grumbles. The rookie policewoman grumbles a lot, and she resents the fact that how in those police pamphlet always has this nice looking policewoman being nice to the kids, nice to the all elderlies. This sort of she hates the part how the policewoman was portrayed as like an OL office ladies of the police department kind of thing, whereas her mentor is anything but that. She has the nice look, she's got the pleasing demeanor until something really gets on her nerve that she gets that's this policeman from hell kind of thing going on with her, and they both kind of try to not portray their inner ugliness to the public because public expects certain image befitting to policewoman, and they both realize that they are not it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I did find
Okay.
it funny though when she did do that poster pose and she yelled at herself for doing that.
Yeah, that was funny.
But it was surprisingly enjoyable from the first episode, so I gotta watch more to see if it stays that way. But according to what I've heard from Vinny, it sounds pretty fun, so maybe something I start watching more of.
Yeah, I think was it episode 3 or 4 is when their town is holding a marathon, and one of the things the policeman is supposed to do is traffic control. So basically, they get to operate the panel that controls those traffic light, and of course they assigned that duty to the rookie policewoman, and she was so nervous that she's gonna screw it up and cause an accident. So she found an excuse to get away from doing that. It ended up turning into her chasing after this suspect of an unknown crime. So she ended up running half the town chasing after him. She ended up losing sight of him, and turned out that what she ended up doing is a whole lot worse than flipping the switch on the light pole by the traffic signal. So there's a lot of that too. Her making things worse than it should be.
Fun, fun. This is on, I believe, Funimation, right? Only.
Mm.
All right. Let's move on to the next title. We got this title. Kaijin Kai Hatsubu no Kuroitsu-san, or Miss Kuroitsu from the Monster Development Department. This show
Yeah.
actually I found very interesting. I want to watch more, just haven't had the time. From what I got from the first episode is that what is that? It's like isn't it called Tokusatsu, the Power Rangers type thing? Or
Yep.
um,
Yes.
so
Tokusatsu.
you got these different Tokusatsu groups all throughout the country, and they're all defeating monsters and protecting their area, like any other normal show. But in this anime, everything is from the perspective of this one department that develops the monsters for the battles and how they work within the organization. So, and it's not just simple, we're going to create this monster and make it powerful. No, it's first we got to go through a meeting with the higher ups. We got to figure out what the budget is. We got to tell them what we plan to do, what they're, it they make this into a whole business venture, and it's hilarious how it plays out. And of course, the leader is always making things harder and screwing things up for the department. Like they created this big bad like wolf monster that's supposed to be super powerful. Even the monster was in its development was getting excited, but then at the last minute the boss saw it and decided to make changes, and it changed it into a girl wolf. So now there's this like male personality within this female body wolf thing, and it's having a hard time trying to adapt because it's not used to this female body, and the staff are tired and just blown out because they had to spend so much overtime at work to make all these changes. And it was just hilarious even when it came to the fight, because I would say give the first episode a watch. It's silly, and then at the very end, at the credits, even show like the actual shows that they kind of parodied it from, some of the characters. So they actually used real life, I think, shows or things out there to make some of the characters within the anime show. So it was really interesting, really entertaining, and I really want to watch more. It's definitely a big comedy, and uh, yeah, I would say give it one episode just to see if it's something you might like. But it's just total silliness. But the thing that makes it fresh is it's from a different perspective from what you would normally see out there. Next up, we have. Oh, I don't even want to talk about the next one because that one's dumb. I think it's. I almost want to say it's kind of like an isekai, but it's not really. Uh, what's this? Should we skip Demon Slayer?
Yeah, skip. I would say, unless Vinny wants to talk about it. I haven't even watched this arc yet, so.
Vinny, nothing? Or
Nope, it's good to skip.
okay. Then after that, it will be Kuroshiai, which I'm kind of half watching, so I missed a lot of information. But it's Love of Kill. I guess it's about assassins, and in one of these assassination missions, this female assassin met this male assassin, and the male kind of, I guess, fell in love with her, and is now kind of pursuing her and trying to get into this relationship. But of course, she doesn't see it the same way because she sees him as opposition or him trying to get close for ulterior motives, which we don't know right now if it is or not. But it's just it's so strange. It's kind of entertaining to watch to see where this may go. But the guy is like always heavily pursuing this female and um, making light of everything that's going on and just having fun with her reactions. And he even meant she tries to stay away from him so much, but he just has this relentless pursuit of always getting near her. And most recent episode, I guess, maybe I think it was actually episode 2. Um, a lot of this is actually a heavy driven action, I think, as well. Like I said, I was kind of half watching in the middle of it, but there's this backstory, I guess, to the guy that we don't know about. Uh, that now that they know he's kind of pursuing that female, that they're kind of targeting her now, and she feels that's him that's pulling the strings. So it's really it's a real mystery right now, which is what I'm finding fun about it. I might have to go back and watch it. Maybe I could put together a little more information, but it's interesting because the demographic here it says is a josei rather than like
Yeah, I think it was a shoujo manga, so.
so I find that very interesting because I thought it would have been a seinen, but with it being that, now I'm kind of like really interested into following this. There's not too many characters that have been introduced. You have the main boss and this one boy, I would say, that speaks really broken Japanese. So I don't know what's his deal, but it it's pretty entertaining, I would say, and I'm gonna have to just give you more information at the end of the season because like right now it's too hard to say too much about the show that. But I would say maybe give it a little shot, see if it might catch your interest like it caught mine with its mystery. But other than that, not much else to say about the show. Oh, the next show. Oh my god. I had no expectations for this show. It's called Lidendel no Daichi Nite, right?
Yep. In the
Or
land of LA.
Yeah, and the land of Lindendale.
Yeah, Leodale.
Uh, yeah, I wasn't expecting much. I believe it's an isekai, right? But into a game world, right?
Yeah, it's isekai, but not heavily tilted on isekai aspect of it. It's more like a background story to it.
Yeah, if anything, it's kind of like I kind of want to compare the opening to being more like or not the opening, but how she gets in there, kind of like to what's his name, Overlord, right? We're
Overlords, yeah, kind of like a Overlords. There's a little part of a ALO from the Sword Art Online on the how she was gravely ill, and that's why she was strapped into this medical machine kind of thing that kind of went kaput.
yeah. Why don't you tell us about it, Vinny?
Okay, yeah, sure. Um, it's from the Maho studio. It's I think they did another work that about this adventurer who took in a demon child with a broken horn, and he just kind of goes over the moon over taking care of her. And when I saw the interludes segment, I realized that it's gotta be from the same studio because they do the kind of similar thing, poking into the screen kind of thing. But anyway, so the main character Kana is in the game of Leodale. She was one of the prolific gamer, one of the most feared witch of the game. And what happened was that she was strapped in this medical machine to sustain her life, and this was her way of escape from reality. And power takes they sustain the unexpected power loss, and she is presumed to be dead. But somehow, when she woke up in the video game world that she was playing. Except it's fast forwarded 200 years from the last time she remembered, and so she's had a little bit of moment of, am I dead or am I not dead? And she decided not to dwell on too much about it. Then she decided to look for other well-known video game players that she knew of at the time, and so she just goes on an adventure looking for them and get in touch with the other characters that she made her acquaintance with, which is mainly her three children who are now fully grown and running their own show in the world. It doesn't take itself very seriously. It's a very kind of goofy, silly kind of adventure. Yes, that she does have a sort of your prototypical isekai OP power, but then she was also OP at the time she was playing video games, so it's considered to be too abnormal. Just that people in the game world kind of get surprised by every little shenanigan she pulls, but in a good way. Um, so that's in about a nutshell. It doesn't reveal too much as to what happened to the other players or big issues over whether she's actually dead or not dead, or if she's trapped in some kind of a alternate reality somewhere. None of those are answered yet. Maybe later. I think we're only up to episode 4 at this time. Um,
Did
it's
you
not.
mention that the
Mm,
time skip?
yeah,
Did you mention? Yeah.
yeah. It's she woke up 200 years fast forward from the time that she remembered. So there are multiple generation has passed by. The country that she used to know is now split into 7 different kingdoms, kind of vying for the power. Some of those which she doesn't even recognize, and she realized that small town has turned into this capital region of a lot of things cropping up. Um, so yeah, if you like those fantasy adventure kind of stuff, then this is probably worth looking at it. It's not the best looking series there is. It does have the CGI horse because tank probably will die over if somebody try to draw horse and the horse carriage again.
Oh man, the CG is so terrible in this. So
Yeah, it's you don't watch this series for the look. You watch this series just to kick back and just enjoy the little silliness. That's really what it comes down to.
yes,
The horses aren't that bad. I've seen far, far worse.
Have you seen the latest episode?
I've watched 3 episodes.
Okay. Oh man, the fourth is bad. Like it has a
Mm,
CG horse
okay.
head with the guy like behind it riding, holding the reins, but the reins don't go around the horse. They're all behind the CG layer.
I can say you don't watch this series for the look. You just can't.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Oh my god, the fourth episode's terrible. But yeah, like Vinny said, it's not for the looks. It's for the journey, for the fun. So I'm heavily enjoying it, even though it has that bad horse carriage thing.
Mm.
But oh my god, it's just it's silliness turned to max, and I just love it. Kind of a, it's not like at the Konosuba level where it's just
Yeah, no,
it's
that's a straight up parody. I mean, this is more like that slime show. I've been fighting slime for 300 years and I maxed my level.
yeah,
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 Right?
yeah.
Especially the characters also go into their chibi forms when they have their comedic effects. So it's a very lighthearted slice of life trapped in a video game. Or actually, she's reincarnated into a video game, it seems like. And she's going on some adventures to try to see if anyone else, any of the players are still there because the game is 200 years beyond where she was playing. She is a high elf with a long, long lifespan, while some of the other players were playing humans who would have been long dead. So there's, some mystery about that. Um, but yeah, it's just a lighthearted adventure. Uh, so if you like isekai, this is not quite isekai trash. It's just comfy isekai.
Yep. Isekai junk food.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, very fun. I guess sticking with the fantasy aspect, the next thing up is something I think quite a few people have been excited for, right? Uh, Princess Connect, Redive.
Season 2. Yeah.
What?
So
So
I
I have a
mean, if you
question.
watch,
Was
yeah,
it game first, or was it the anime then the game came out?
Game first.
game first.
Okay.
Go ahead, Albert.
So yeah, I mean, if you watch the first season, you know what it's all about. But it is based on a gotcha game, right? And this is one of those that Cygames is adapting. So Cygames, they most famous for adapting some really not very good mobile games and making a really good anime out of it. So Rage of Bahamut is like one of those examples, and they even made a franchise out of it. Princess Connect Redive is also another one of these. The the premise is set after the original Gotcha game, and is now in the second sequel Gotcha game, I guess. Although I haven't played any of it. So yeah, it just picks up after the first season. There's still some mysteries going on. There were some revelations about some of the characters and who they actually are. So that's ongoing. It's just silly comedic fun with outstanding animation and ridiculous things like, oh, this band of adventurers, they just want to have a concert, but their fans keep getting attacked by monsters, so they became adventurers. So they're idle adventurers, just riding that trend in Japan. So all kinds of silliness abound. There's the return of some familiar characters from the first season, also supporting characters. Um, yeah, if you like the first season, you're going to like the second season. And if you want to know if you're going to like this, just watch episode 1 of season 1, and you'll know. So if you're into fantasy, high fantasy adventure with a lot of comedic elements, especially Kokoro, I highly recommend it. If you don't really care about the genre, then this is not the show for you.
I'm waiting for Kokoro Nandroid to show up on my doorstep. Can't get enough of the
Does she have,
movie face.
yeah, does she have a Figma yet, or?
Figma, no, not yet. I think Carol has a Figma just coming out.
Yeah.
Kokoro, not yet. But that Miffy face, I just can't get enough of that face.
So far, I think it's averaging 2 per episode. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a
I'm
lot of fun.
I'm surprised they kept the opening music on the season 2. They usually change those stuff, so pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah. I can't remember if I finished the first season. That's why I haven't started the second season.
What?
I remember a lot of it though. I was going through some of it, but yeah, I just gotta wait until I can, before I can start watching it. I'll probably finish it by the end of the season though, because it was a very enjoyable show with a lot of just comedic stories and just fun. So.
Mm.
I mean, I played the gacha game after the season 1, and I ended up dropping it 2 weeks into it. I just can't do it. It's much better. I think most people are much better off just watching the anime instead of having to try to slog through the game, since game itself doesn't have much storyline, and it's too much of an autoplay. It's not really very fun to play. I don't know why some people kept up with it. Maybe because of gacha and rare characters, but that's about it.
All right. Let's see here. Next up, we got Sai. Sorry, not Sai. Sabi Kui Bisco.
Yeah, so I guess I'm the only one that's watching it.
Yeah, I heard some
Well-
people say it was pretty good, but I just didn't have time. So
I think it's actually one of the better shows this season. It is based on a light novel, and the premise is that the world has, well, it's set in Japan, but Japan has fallen civilization-wise because all these weapons of war in the past have created a disease that comes on the wind and rusts everything, including people. So they die from rusting. So sabikui means rust eating. And the people think that these kinokomori, meaning mushroom keepers, are the cause because mushrooms spread the rusting. So they're labeled as terrorists, and it follows this one mushroom keeper called Bisco. He's apparently labeled as man-eating or cannibal, and he rides a giant, not a mecha, okay, a giant crab. So he comes into town and accidentally meets with this one altruistic doctor who works in the lower parts of society, nicknamed Panda because he has a big mark on his around his eye. So Dr. Panda, and it's the two of them getting together and trying to go find this legendary mushroom that will eat and purify all rust. So that's a weird premise to begin with, right? But it's actually pretty well done. It is animated pretty well. The action scenes are dynamic. The use of these mushroom infused arrows that instantaneously create mushroom forests and giant towering mushrooms that they use to jump from buildings. All of that is pretty fun. So It is action adventure. If you want to, go watch something a little bit off kilter, I would recommend it. I do know that Dr. Panda is voiced by Natsuki Hanae. No, wait. Yeah, Natsuki Hanae, who is the voice of Tanjiro in Demon Slayer, and also the voice of Odokawa in Odd Taxi. Although in this case, he's using more of his Tanjiro voice. So, and yeah, action adventure, fun, wacky world building setting, and we'll see what happens. But this is one of the shows I would recommend if you want some action. That's it.
Sorry, I forgot my mic was muted. Nice. I was actually thinking of picking it up because I've heard quite a few people say it was really good, but for some reason, just from the picture art, I didn't think it was going to be too entertaining.
Just watching the trailer just now. Looks pretty weird.
Looks like I picked the wrong gamble because I picked a different show and it turned out terrible.
Let me guess, it's the Isekai.
No.
The one you picked.
No, like last night I was like, what should I watch? That one or this other one? And it was this other one about that takes place in China? Maybe? I don't know. But they all have Chinese names and they fight these monsters with Mizma and it was just it's hard to explain.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, let's go on to the next. Oh, this one. Yeah, I want to talk about this one. This trash. Let me get the title card for it really quick. Where's S? Where's S? Yeah, this one. Yeah. Let me get this whole thing up here. Shikakumon no Saikyo Kenja? The strongest sage with the weakest crest? Now, back in the day, I was reading this manga, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. I thought it was fun. But as I kept on reading and reading and reading, I got bored of it real fast. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And I dropped it. Now that it's an anime, I was like, maybe they changed it. Maybe they made it better. Maybe it's one of those things that with the anime, it helped it. No, not at all. Basically, in this world, you have if you I can't remember if it's everyone, but you get these marks and or these crests, and depending on the crest you have, kind of signifies where your specialty field is. So, like, certain crests are good for doing enhancements or enchantments or whatever you want to call it. Others are good for combat. Others are good for support. It depends on which one you got. And the main character supposedly got the crest that's good for enchantments, but he really wanted the one for fighting. And he had spent so much time improving his skills to get as strong as he can, but he realizes that he can't get any stronger because of his crest. So using his magic, he somehow makes it so that he can revive in the future. I can't remember how many years passed because I wasn't paying attention too much. But he reincarnates into the future with the crest that he actually did want. And now that he's living his life, he realizes that magic has fallen very heavily. And now he's like this OP guy that can do, chantless casting and such, while everyone else, is marveled at how he can do everything with such ease and how he's so knowledgeable. We considered him a genius, but it's so weird because they go through the story so fast. And like I believe by the first episode you go through almost like I think almost 8 or 7 chapters right away. And they took a lot of elements that I thought were really hilarious out, and it's just to me it's not fun. Uh, so it's a show that I would say kind of stay away, even though it's an actually I don't even think it's an isekai, right? It's just a reincarnation into the future.
Sounds like it.
So yeah, since it doesn't hit that isekai mark, I don't think I'm going to be watching this. So um, I recommend you all maybe stay away. You know, especially you, Sean. This is not for you.
Got it.
Um, but other than that, not much else to say about it. I just wanted to give you guys all that warning, you know, in case you get that urge to be like, what could this be about? No, don't. Jessica, did you want to talk about Attack on Titan? Or
Not
Is it
really a
the
whole lot.
final season?
Yeah, it's the final part of the final season. Thank goodness. Um, I still like it. I think it's really good, but if you're not convinced by now to watch Attack on Titan, I don't think you ever will be. So I don't have a whole lot to say.
I will never be convinced to watch it, but from the outside, it's kind of interesting because I heard that the way the manga ended is a big mess. Controversial. I heard that they're not using Wit Studio as the animation studio anymore. They went to Mappa or something. Like how what do you know about that stuff? Are they going to change the ending? Are they going to stick with the ending as it is?
Right now, we really have no idea if they're going to stick with the ending or not. I'm kind of ambivalent on the ending. I needed to read that last volume twice because I think it's pretty easy to misinterpret, which sounds really arrogant and snobby, but I read it kind of one way the first time through, and then, the shit hit the fan and controversies and everything, and so I read it again, and I thought, well, you can see it another way, so people don't tend to like ambiguous endings or endings that require a certain degree of synthesis, and that could be part of the problem too. But if you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm never going to convince someone that it's actually, it's good actually. But in terms of the studio switch, I did notice a difference, especially in the 3D character models. The Titans are now all 3D CG, and in the last season, there was a scene that just looked absolutely horrible. I don't know if it got memed or not, but I would not be surprised because it was so bad it kind of took you out of the story. But
Do the characters with the 3D maneuver gear also become 3D when they're fighting the Titans?
That's a little harder to say because at the point that the Titans are now, they're so huge that the characters just show up like flies in certain scenes. So that I don't know. But yeah, the Titan modeling is definitely lesser for the studio switch. The rest of the animation is fine. It gets the job done. I don't think it's nearly as creative as some of the stuff that Studio Wit did in the earlier seasons.
Should have gone to Cyber Connect 2 or whatever. Be like, hey, can we steal some of these assets from these video games?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
Want this animated at least look as good as a video game.
Oh, I will say, though, that you definitely want to check out the intro to the first half of the final season. It's probably one of the better intros of the series. It's kind of horrific in a way, and I think it matches the central themes of the anime pretty well. But any other questions for me on this one?
Not really.
Nope. Okay.
I mean, there's been a lot of spoilers for everything. They spoil all the episodes whenever I go on social
that's
media.
a shame. That's a real shame.
Like I'll go onto Instagram or something. All of a sudden, there's someone playing a clip like with one of the fight scenes, and
Aw.
so I'm like, I guess I don't need to watch the anime. I can just get my preview here. Let's see here. Next up is actually this show looked really really fun. I want to watch more of this. This is definitely an Albert title, I believe. Slow Loop.
Oh, you pronounced it correctly.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been practicing for a while for that one.
I noticed. Yeah, so Slow Loop is based on a manga that I was actually reading about. It's about cute girls doing cute things, and it's about fishing. So yes, we did have Hokago Table Nishi, which is another cute girl doing cute things, and that was fishing, mostly sea fishing. But this one starts off with uh, an anime trope I'm starting to really hate. But this girl Hiyori is fly fishing and by the ocean because her father, who passed away, only taught her how to fly fish. So that's what she does. She meets a girl named Koharu who did not live by the ocean. So she attempts to almost jump into the water when it's March. And Hiyori saves her from this foolish uh, decision that Koharu was about to make. And they just spend a brief time together. Koharu is actually good at cooking, um, and Hiyori only knows how to fish. She's not very good at the cooking part. So the reason Hiyori was avoiding going home was because she has to meet her new stepfather, right? And Koharu's like, oh, that's coincidence. I have to meet my new stepmother and her child. I'm like, what the hell, Japan? So apparently, this trope of never meeting your you know stepfather or stepmother to be and your step sibling. This is a trope that happens way too often. So anyway,
They have to
so the
find the
rest of
fourth
it,
club member.
the what?
The fourth club member.
Yeah, there's only two in this case. But so in terms of the actual fishing, they do teach you fishing skills. So I do. I have done fishing in the past. I do know how to tie a line using a couple different methods, although I'm super rusty. But I recognize some of the loop lines that they make. I do. I've never fly fished, but I do know that the casting that they teach is also correct from friends that did fly fish. The cooking part, Koharu does the cooking, so they talk about how to prepare the fish, how you gut it, what's good, how you might cook it in different ways. So yeah, it's just a comfy slice of life, cute girl doing cute things about fishing and cooking. So if you like things like Eurocamp, this might be more in your wheelhouse. If you hate slice of life, definitely stay away from it. That's all.
Yeah, I was already imagining some crossover where they meet up with a Yuru camp people, and then it just becomes this like omni camping, fishing,
Mhm.
cooking anime.
I literally fell asleep in the first 10 minutes into this series. I don't know
So
why.
that means it's effective.
No, if it's if you're sleep deprived, then yes. Otherwise, I'm not sure because I never fell asleep in Eurocamp or any other slice of life series that I watched and enjoyed it. This one, I just fell asleep and never recovered from it.
Mm. You clearly have not watched enough slice of life shows. There are many others where I'm watching it and 10 minutes pass by, I'm like, what happened? I wasn't asleep.
Guess much to watch.
Yeah, not everything can be exciting as an unknown BOE. All right, moving on.
Yay! Okay. Next up is probably one of the most talked about in social media, or
Safe.
at least it's at least a lot among the artist community. This show is getting like blowing up. Everyone's
Yeah,
wanting to draw this.
I've also seen this as the lightning rod for the anime community. Is this show all that? What the hell is this?
So Sono Bisuke do no Koi wa Suru. Um, my dress up darling, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my dress up darling. So I believe it's based off of a manga. I've read the manga. I've gotten really far into the manga. So I think it's because of the manga was so popular that when the show came out, it was already highly anticipated and everyone was really excited for it. But it's I don't know. It's I don't know how it became such a big deal. I know it was also one of these titles that was, the attack on Twitter, or the Twitter attack, however you want to call it, where they say the show is too sexualizing for minors and all that stuff. You know how that's been happening a lot in different things. So
It's
You say
not.
Twitter's trying to cancel this anime?
just a minority of small people that are just, I think they're just doing it
Oh.
just for attention or whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
good
not
luck with
completely
that.
off the mark though.
But
Sorry.
I mean, it's
too
not
hot
as
for
bad
TV.
as some shows that I've ever seen before. So
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, if you want to cancel something, maybe look at like Redo of Healer.
yes, yeah. I
It's
mean, it's
certainly been
not.
worse.
I mean, it's not nothing like that. But
Yeah,
I
what
guess
about Shumatsu no Harlem?
yeah, I mean, like I showed some friends like episode 1 of Ichigo 100%, and that's just this guy that meets this beautiful girl on a rooftop, and all he can remember about her is that she has strawberry printed underwear, and that he
oh
wants
man,
to film her because of that.
that's a blast from the past.
And
Yeah, I remember that one.
so I mean, like, how's this worse than that? I don't know. Maybe.
It's just because it's popular, so they can get bonus points for saying, "Well, actually, did you know this thing that you like is secretly holding up the patriarchy or some bullshit like that?"
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah, I agree. Is that if they really wanted to do good, they should have gone after Redo of Healer. So,
That's true.
but and I've had a friend share an article that was in Spanish, I believe. I put it in our Discord, where it's being heavily censored in Korea, North Korea, I believe.
I'm surprised that North Korea even watched the anime. What the heck?
yeah, that's you posted that article to OreAni, and that took me aback because my first reaction was, "How the heck is North Korea getting anime?"
Yeah, because usually like media, they have to smuggle it in through like a USB stick.
Yeah,
I mean, they get
I didn't know
sent
there
to
were
the
official channels.
labor camp for watching Korean drama. So what the heck?
yeah. It really made no sense.
I think the problem and writing on the wall with this series, with all this controversy or make believe controversy, is that if you look at the character that she wanted to portray, and there lies a problem, from front and center. She plays this adult game that's heavily skewed towards the male audiences, all about how this male character rounds up, creates a harem, and put all those girls into compromising situation. And she fell in love with one of those character and wants to cosplay her. Well, if that's not a problem in itself, I mean, I think that thankfully it gets better after that. So it's just like after initial shock is kind of gone and over with, it settles down a lot better in manga anyways. So at the first what 2 volumes I was reading, I was kind of wondering, oh my gosh, is this kind of heading towards cancellation because it's kind of getting a little too much. But then it settled down alright. I don't see the problem.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I watched the first episode and I think it's pretty harmless. My main critique of it is that so far the girl, I forget her name, but she doesn't really have any flaws. She seems like she's completely and utterly perfect and the dream girl, the quote unquote the dream girl. And so it kind of seems like it's a wish fulfillment type of anime, but that is not wholly unique to this anime. That's most anime out there. And that's my only criticism, but that's after the first episode. So there's definitely room for her to grow and have a personality other than I'm sexy and I like to play all this nerd stuff.
You know what?
But
You know what?
oh, go ahead.
It's actually kind of funny you mentioned that because I saw on Instagram that someone made comparison to her and Kirino. That they're both blondes, they're both models, they're both play eroge, they both love the anime thing, you know. That she's like almost the exact same thing as like Kirino back from that OreAni. Oni or not Oni Imo. That's the anime.
You should know that better than anyone. Come on now.
There's so many all these small little thingies. Get confused sometimes. But yeah, I mean that character's kind of been done a little bit before, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the first part. I mean, at least the character she's trying to cosplay into. That's kind of laid a thick on the fan service aspect of it between all those shots of her body parts, changing the dress and measurement. Oh my god, and the measurement. But once you kind of get past that, they don't revisit that. So it's kind of once done and over with. They don't try to go back into that what draws attention. So which is thankfully what I was okay with. So once people kind of get, once this brouhaha dies down after first couple episodes, I think it's gonna be just fine. And she does develop a little bit more character than just, oh my god, I gotta dress up this and come on, sew it for me kind of thing. It's a bit more than that. It's more like tilting towards a mainstream rom-com down the road, and which is perfectly fine. And I like the fact that it's very, oh, some anime has like a tendency to be very educational and very detail oriented, and this one basically goes zeroes in into the whole how to make a cosplay costume from soup to nuts, especially in manga.
I think what I really liked the most about it is the theme of that you should do what brings you joy, regardless of whether or not it's a quote unquote female activity or a male activity. Is that if you like it, just do it. Why does it matter what your gender is? And I thought that was a really positive message to put out there in the world. Because sewing is really awesome and it's fun, and anyone who wants to do it should be welcomed and whatnot. So I liked that theme. Although I had to laugh when he criticized her outfit and said, "Oh, there's not even a bobbin thread on here." And I'm thinking, that's impossible. You need the bobbin thread to anchor the top thread, or else it just falls apart. So it's just, what on earth are they going on about? And I thought his sewing machine, his antique one, was pretty badass because I used to sew on one of those.
So with the newest episode, actually, I thought was really, really fun. The pacing of the whole show, actually, I think is going really well compared to a lot of other animes, adaptations from manga. And the pacing for this one is really done really, really well. And with this newest episode, the 4th episode, I just loved it. And I even emphasized with one of my friends, because he's always one of these gentlemen's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't have the skill. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't have the skill, you got to do what you love, and you're willing to sacrifice a lot for the things that you love and stuff as well.
Yes.
And it takes time, because remember what his grandpa said. the main character was saying, "Oh, I can't paint faces like you do," and Grandpa said, "That's because I've been painting them for 48 years." Is that you cannot expect to sit down at a sewing machine and whip out the most badass Haruhi cosplay known to man in an afternoon. That will not happen. You have to start small. And I commend her for at least making an attempt, because a lot of us self-sabotage and say, "Oh yeah, I can't do it." Well, of course you can't do it if you've never tried it before.
Buy it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
So I'm like, I'm using it as as a good experience thing from one of my friends to try to get him to get into more things or to do some stuff. But also, the thing I loved about it is I can kind of relate to how the guy's going through on that fourth episode where, sometimes you just pile on too many things and you think everything's crushing you and it's just like, and it just hurts. But if you want to make it, you got to push on. And I mean, it has a lot of this, this
think that
etchiness
was
to the show, but it
Mhm.
also has a lot of really good lessons, I think, in this show.
Yeah, that
Hey, and
whole. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Vinny.
Oh, okay. Yet him agonizing over all those things just all coming at him at once, and how in anime episode 4 they're trying to deliberately pace it so that everything is not just quick turn of a page and done and over with, which was kind of a case with the manga. There was that moment, it wasn't really long enough to deliver impact, but in anime, they actually took time to kind of spread out a little bit thinner so that we can kind of understand all those things that piled up on him, the choices that he didn't make, and consequences of not making the decision ahead of times that's coming to bite him, and he still have to man up and try to put pieces back in together. I like that how they put it in episode 4 the way they did it.
Yeah. So, um, the gentleman I'm talking about is actually in our chat right now. So if you guys could all just say, "Dragon, you can do it." I think it'd help us.
Go for it, Dragon.
Go,
Yeah.
man, go!
You can do
One at a
it.
time.
Yes, Dragon, you can do it. So, the ending also to this show is really fun. So,
It's
Oh, you're
retro.
saying that based on the manga? Is the manga over and
End
done
credits?
with?
oh no, I meant the ending credits.
Oh, okay.
I've always found the ending credits to this one to be kind of fun, and how it's been animated and everything.
They're really cute.
But other than that, let's see. I don't think we have much else to say on this. Is anyone like Albert? Maybe you should try it. I see you haven't watched it, but or maybe it's not your cup of
I
tea.
intend to. I just haven't gotten to it.
All right. Okay, let's go to the next title because definitely watch it. There's not much else to say about it. I mean, you probably hear a lot of it just by going to Twitter. So it's been hard to get not spoilers because I watch everything on the weekend. So and these come out in the middle of the week, so it drives me crazy.
Turn up the tweeter.
Yeah. Now this show surprised me a lot. Like I wasn't expecting much about this show. Tensai Oji no Akaji Kokka Sei, sorry, Sai Seijutsu. What do you translate into? What does this say? The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. So this one surprised me a lot. I was kind of expecting this isekai craziness, but it actually is not an isekai. It's a pure fantasy show, and it follows the main protagonist, Wayne, who's a prince. I can't remember which prince he is. I think he's like the third, fourth. I can't remember, but he's not at the top. I know that much. And he his father's sick, and for some reason he's put in charge right now, and he doesn't want any of this. Have you any of you ever watched The Legend of Legendary Heroes?
No.
Yes, a long time ago though. I called them LOL heroes.
Yeah, so the guy Reiner and his whole aspect on life, you know how he's just laid back, doesn't want to do anything, does it? This the main prince is that way. He doesn't want to be the prince. He doesn't want to be in charge. In fact, he actually wants to sell the kingdom. But since the kingdom is in such dire straits right now that he feels that he has to get it out of that to get the most value so that he can just retire and live a carefree life. But all of his decisions and everything that he chooses to do, he kind of does it in a way that he tries to make it so that, oh, maybe if I do it this way, I can make them all back away and not want to do this. And but then everyone just hops in on it, and then all of a sudden they're victorious, and he's sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, no, this is just going to lead me to more work." And it's been really fun and entertaining to watch this. And and because it has that kind of parallel with Reiner and that other show, I really love that character. This Wayne character has been very fun for me too, and just it's just been uh overall just great. He does have like a kind of, I guess, you might want to say siscong, because he's very affectionate towards his little sister and does everything for her that he can, teaching her and stuff like that. It's not to the point where it's like over the board where he's like in some animes, I would say. But as he's going through, it's just crazy all the stuff that he's accomplishing, and you may want to say it's all because of luck, but I think it's because of the actions he takes, but because of everything doesn't go according to the way he pictures it. It leads to this great comedic result. So the first episode I think is really fun. It starts right off the bat, getting into action, getting into conflict, and moving forward. So I think if you might want to give it a episode one a shot and see if it might be something you might want to be interested in. I heard a lot of people parallel it with the realist hero, but my group of friends and everything are actually kind of finding this show a lot more entertaining and a lot more fun than the realist hero. And even when they're kind of giving us some kind of info drop, they do it kind of in a interesting way from what I've seen, at least in the last episode, because they were talking about how this other kingdom is getting ready to do some stuff, and you're like, so what's with this other kingdom? And then it goes to the little sister with the big brother being tutoring her, and he starts explaining like how the kingdoms and how everything was made as he's teaching his little sister. So it's not like this big text or monologue going on. It's kind of done in a way as a teaching moment for this his sister, but also teaching us at the same time. So it's been very entertaining, and I believe Jessica said it was based off of a light novel. You said, right? That you, sir?
I think so, although I could have gotten it confused with another light novel with a very similar premise. I haven't read either of them yet, but I'm getting a lot of secondhand light novel knowledge from my husband, who reads a lot of them. So.
Oh, I see it right here now. It says source light novel. Yeah, so you are right.
Oh, woohoo!
But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's not an isekai, so if you're not an isekai fan, this will be fun. And so far from what I've seen, there doesn't seem to be really too much like magic, like, you know, big fireballs or that whole casting. It's all, you know, swords and using things. I can't using the environment to your advantage and stuff. So yeah, it's been really great. I think Vinny would like it a lot.
Hmm. All right, I'll give it a shot.
So that should be everything that we've pretty much seen as a group. There were two movies that were released. Um, do I have title cards for them? I don't know. But one of them was Belle. Did all of you or some of you watch Belle in theaters?
I
It
did.
hasn't come to any theaters in my area yet.
Ooh,
Yeah.
think I and Albert watched it in IMAX as well.
Yep, I did.
I don't think I have title cards for it. Oh wait, it starts with an S, right? In Japanese.
No, start with
Yeah,
R.
no, R.
Oh, R.
Yeah,
Oh, Soba Kasu no Hime. Apparently, what it says.
yeah, the dragon and the freckled princess.
It looks like I don't have title cards for it, so I guess I'll just hide our title card now. We can probably just talk about Belle. Belle was I believe it was released January 12th in IMAX, and then January 14th in theaters all around. And I think last weekend I still saw it on in theaters. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's still playing around Seattle, so
It's playing in New York City area as well. Actually, it came to the local theater on non-IMAX format.
yep. Yeah, it's definitely on the regular theaters in both sub and dub in my area. So
did anyone watch it dubbed or?
Nope.
I am thinking about going to go watch it dubbed, but this is probably the last week. I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I might go on Tuesday if I can.
Because I
But
actually
I
heard,
watched it, subbed on IMAX, same as Venue.
cause I heard a lot of really good things about it being dubbed as well.
Okay.
So who wants to take the helm?
Yeah.
Does it take
Vinny,
place
do you
in
want?
the? Does it strictly take place in the world of Summer Wars? Like, do they call the virtual environment Oz, or is it just
No.
kind of
So
resembles Summer
now,
Wars?
yeah, their virtual world in this film is called U. So there's a catchphrase that they use. What the heck was it? In you can become a new you. So it's the letter U.
Okay.
Right. It's the
Yeah.
U.
So I mean, yeah, it's a. I mean, on the surface, there's a simple story about this girl. She's high school, 17-year-old. She lost her mother to an accident while her mother was trying to save another child. Um, and since that time, it's obviously she was, I think, only 7 or 10, so it's a very traumatic for her. She lost her. Uh, she can't sing anymore with something that she used to be able to do. It just forces her to kind of relive the trauma, and she ends up throwing up. She is tends to be a little bit of a loner. She only has like one really good friend, and um, she still likes to make music, but she can't sing it. So, and she has a childhood friend, as you would, that kind of looks out for her, but he's the popular kid, so people tend to misunderstand that. Oh, she was talking with I forget what the kid's name is. So all these things about class dynamics and using social media to diss people, those are all in the background theme there. And then one day, her best friend I can't remember, recommends to Suzu this new, to join you and create a new. Um, hey, Tank, we're getting static from your line. Are you using the old headset? Anyway, so she joins you, and she models a avatar after not herself, but the popular girl. But because of it's a class picture of everyone, the AI kind of makes a mistake and ends up transposing some of her features, which are freckles, onto the popular girl's image and creates this composite avatar. And when she enters the digital world, she's amazed, right? And she starts singing in joy, and she finds that she can actually sing in the digital world. And this draws some attention, and she essentially has trended. Uh, and so eventually she keeps going back. Her friend creates costumes for her, creates a buzz about her, and she sings and eventually has a concert in the digital world. And during the concert is interrupted by an attack against one of the other digital avatars known as the Dragon. And apparently, the Dragon is this badass martial arts guy that is undefeated. Not undefeated. I think there was like 3 defeats, but he's been winning all these fights. And because of that, he's bought some enmity of the guys that declare themselves, we're the justice. We are the peacekeepers of the digital world of you. And so she is very intrigued by him and sees something in him that is similar to her, and she starts to look for him. So the dragon is the beast, and Belle, Suzu, Belle, right, is Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So that's the overall beginning of the story. Yeah, I think that's the first 20, 30 minutes. And then it gets deeper into the story. So the digital world is very similar to Summer Wars. It's a composite. The problem is, despite saying, I think it's 900 million people have joined you, it's very Japan centric. There's no indication that they're using some sort of language that transcends language barriers. There's no indication that there are people from all these different real world backgrounds and real world locations, real world religious background, none of that, or real world genders. So on the surface, I think it's a very, very enjoyable, very Disney-esque film that Hosoda has created. Right? It pushes all the elements together, and he synthesized something really appealing to the masses. But for me, I think it falls apart in the third act. I've mentioned, I don't think he really understands the internet and how bad it can be, how horrible it can be to people, how addicting it can be to certain people. It's all kind of glossed over, and in the end, the digital world allows Suzu to make these new connections, but her connections have to be real in the real world, and so it's only a trigger for her growth in the real world. And I really appreciated Suzu's character arc and character growth, but I just feel that the third act is weak, and the other themes that Hosoda is trying to stuff into, he doesn't quite get it. So for me, unfortunately, I did like it, but I can't rate it as high as some of his other films. So I don't know, Vinny, what was your experience?
You're pretty much spot on that regards. I like the drama aspect of the main character, how she has to struggle against the, its expected tragedy, and how to overcome it or how come to the come to term with it. Those are all done nicely, but as you mentioned, that internet's online, virtual online aspects feels a little bit hollow. I mean, there is like a little snippet of mentions about users outside of Japan, but to me that looks like your prototypical plaster over standee kind of a character than actual user of that virtual reality per se. So it's a little, it's not quite fully baked, and I think the ending kind of was wrapped up rather hastily. So she get to meet the person that she's been seeking out for. That's good and all, but then what happens? I mean, then it kind of goes reverse right back to the her life as if it just just kind of almost as when she just went to say hello and that was it. It's the
Mm.
problem that she's tackling on is a lot more complex than that. It can not just be 2 minute clip and be done with it. That's what I had a problem with. Music was nice though. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
um,
I think it's worth seeing. I just, I can't give a full endorsement that you will enjoy it as some of his other works.
I liked it better than his last work though. To
What
me,
was his
Mirai was
last?
mostly about Miss.
his last work was Mirai, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did not like that much.
So,
Was it better than Boy and the Beast, his last one?
I think so.
I think it was better than that.
I actually have not seen Boy and the Beast for some reason, so I should fix that.
It's a cool movie for first half, and the second half it goes in all kinds of directions. Kind of
Yeah.
Mm.
that's what I
Yeah,
remember
I
about it.
kind of, I kind of feel that's what happened here too. So yeah, I mean, the entire technology about jumping into you and having your avatar and being able to do all these crazy things and uh, all that is magic.
Yeah.
It's
That
magic. It's the
that thing
metaverse.
actually confused me a lot because like they would be running trying to go to place and then they'll just put in these headphones that brings them into this virtual world. I'm like, "Wait, how's that working? Like
You're asking too
how
many
can they
questions, Frank.
control it?" And it was just really weird. But also a lot of the scenes I thought were really cut really strange. Like her scene when she sings to the beast. They were out on the balcony and stuff and then all of a sudden she starts singing. Now they're inside in this in the center in the middle of the castle. I'm like, wait a minute, why was this abrupt transition right here and such? But one thing I did notice on the second watch through, because I did watch it twice, was that as far as the language thing, I noticed that whenever she was singing, these rings would appear around her. And if you look at them, they're actually different symbols of different words. So I think it's actually a translation for people who don't speak Japanese to read it. Like as
Hmm.
if that as she's singing, it's translating it for everyone around that doesn't speak her language to know what she's singing about. And I thought that was kind of cool, if that's really what that was, because that would explain how other cultures and everything can understand or interpret what she's singing. And also in some of the scenes where there's a lot of text, you'll see it does show a lot of different languages as well as they pop ups. So it definitely does have a large community around the world, but I think just because we're from seeing it from the aspect of Japan, maybe that's the main stuff we see in the show as far
I
as
think
everything.
I think the problem is that it's almost as if they think that you can just throw a bunch of random language from other countries and that's enough to for viewers to think that this community is somehow all inclusive. I think to me that's too much of a shallowness. I've seen it with others too.
But the other thing that uh, what was I gonna say? Man, kind of forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'll admit the music was really fun, but for two of the songs, it reminded me too much of other music I've already heard. So every time I heard them starting to sing a song, I would be like, "Oh man, it's just bringing up this other song in my memory," and it drove me crazy a little bit. But it was very enjoyable for the music and such. But the thing I liked about this virtual world versus, I guess, Wars is that if this virtual world goes down, I don't think society will go down like it did in Summer Wars. So they learned a little bit. Because like in Summer Wars, I believe everything was run from that world, right? The world of Oz, from companies and
Yeah,
everything.
I have some vague recollection of like the whole infrastructure of the country or something was operated through Oz, which is probably not a great idea,
Yeah, but in this show,
but like that's how it is in real life too.
it didn't have any of that. So it looks like they kind of broke away from that idea. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Hmm. I would like to see this at some point. So I think the optimistic case for technology should be made. You know, there's zounds and there's an ocean of media that makes the pessimistic case for technology. The super AI is going to kill us all. You know, going all the way back to I don't know Frankenstein or the Terminator. You know, you can make that
That's
case all
several
day.
centuries apart now.
Yeah,
Sure.
you know the robots that are coming to kill us all has been a thing since forever. But you know, I don't know much about Bell. Like I can kind of extrapolate from Summer Wars, is that also made the optimistic case for technology, even though you know it could do bad things, but the net result is like you know greater connectivity, more connections, you know, bring people together, blah blah blah, and you know that's largely true with the internet too. You know, and the internet in real life and Orbital Children. That's what it was called, the Orbital Children. That
Yeah.
anime we talked at the beginning of this program, Chikugai Shonen Shoujo, uh, like that also makes the optimistic case for technology. Like even though there's this apocalypse scenario involving AI in it, but the show kind of argues that like it's because we're so afraid of technology and we've closed ourselves off, you know, to its potential. Now we can no longer imagine like a better future, and like that's the peril of becoming you know too much of a luddite or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like you have to accept that technology is coming, it's going to change the world, and you have to you know like sort of you know tackle that head on.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the message is positive. So,
All right. Um, I do have another question for you all. Did any of you watch a Sing a Bit of Harmony?
No, I missed that one.
Oh.
no, I think I missed it too.
Okay. I guess we'll leave it for next time when it comes out and you guys can all watch it. Um, I will say though, um, as far as uh, feeling complete and feeling really good about yourself, Sing a Bit of Harmony is way better than Bell. So,
sorry,
Okay.
what is it called?
Sing a Bit of Harmony.
Sing a Bit of Harmony.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard of it.
Um, yeah, it came out earlier this week, I believe, on for like what was it?
Is it
For
Phasma event again?
for 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I missed it.
this is the new movie from that guy, the guy who did Eve no Jikan and Sakasama no
Yes.
Patema.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
interesting. It's got a new thing.
yeah. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll save that for later. But I guess that'll be it for this beginning of the whole new season. I'd like to thank you all for joining me here today. I hope everyone who's watching loves the new layout. I'd like to make a call out to one of our viewers, Anzi. Anzi painted this beautiful background and table for us here. And soon I hope to get avatars for everyone here at the table so that we can all sit at our kotatsu at the end of the season and talk about how the shows have ended and what to avoid. If you want to join us, contact me on Discord. I'll send you a link to OreAni. I'll admit we're not as active as a lot of other channels or Discords, but every once in a while, a few of us do put some really interesting information out there about the anime news and anime world, and I tried to put some notices about movies that are coming out as well, and call out to Nick-san. Hopefully he's doing.
I really wish he was here to talk about Chikugai Shonen Shoujo. That would be something he could go on about forever.
Yeah.
Like me and him making this whole podcast thing insufferable. Just talk about that anime for like an hour.
So I contacted him, talked with him for a bit, and unfortunately his scheduling is terrible for us. So I think he's only off during the weekdays. So we'll have to figure out some way, maybe, to get him in here. Maybe he can take a day off, hopefully, or something. But other than that, look forward to seeing everyone at the end of the season. Once again, all you viewers out there, thank you for joining us and watching for the little time you have. And other than that, is there any final words you guys want to say?
Watch more anime.
Watch less
What
anime.
he said.
Just not this season's anime, right? Just watch.
Yeah.
Get your backlogs caught up.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but go watch Odd Taxi or something.
Maybe Nick could use you and join us virtually while he's working.
All right. Bye-bye.
You're out there just like wear the COVID mask wrong and like so that it doesn't cover the nose, then you'll get COVID at just the right time.
Jeez.
Join us.
So
for next.
you'll get through the 5G, right?
Oh gosh.
So